back area where the offices are. It's not for us.
In the what? It's where?
In the back area, you asshole.
Oh.
Well, it
This is how it is today on Pop Culture Minefield. This is how it is.
It's time for a little Funky Friday. From their funky hidden headquarters, your hosts, Keith and Gary. Not Jerry.
This is how it is today on Pop Culture Minefield.
I do like our new theme. And just as a reminder, hey guys, don't forget to click that like, subscribe, and notification button. We appreciate you watching the show. Now, back to it. Yeah, back to it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he played that just the moment I jumped into the studio, and it made me jump. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
I want to welcome everybody. Come here. This is Snig.
Oh, pretty cat.
Snig. Hi, baby.
Ah, it disappeared. Ghost cat.
It's facing. It's facing.
I know. It's Shadow Cat.
She comes and visits me during the day.
Oh.
Is that the one that is in the bathroom when you go?
Yeah, she's the one that follows me into the
Oh.
bathroom and has to like
Bathroom buddy.
the minute I get active into doing anything I need to do in the bathroom, then decides suddenly I need to hang out on you. It's like, no,
Nice.
no, don't do that. That's weird.
You have to look at the cat in the eyes and say to it, "There is no bathroom."
You know what I do? When cats go to the bathroom that are pets of mine, I will run up on them right when they're pooping and go, "What's doing? Huh?" And they'll like try to turn and look away from me. No, let's make eye contact. This is great. Dogs at least feel guilt. Like when they're pooping, they look like they've done something wrong and they know it. They're so sorrowful when they poop. There's this like, I'm so sorry. I wish I didn't have to do this. But who's all in the house? We got one of Scribe's minions is Noah Asensio.
Yes.
That's not
Noah,
what you said before the show. You said weirdos.
Oh,
not
I said one of your weirdos. Huh?
Yes.
We all
No,
bring,
you're a
we all
weirdo.
bring our own reef. Yeah. The things that happen before a show should be kept before the show. But no, let's just go bring it up.
Yep. It's what I do. I can be
That's
asshole
what you
too,
do.
you know?
Yeah, I can tell. Let's see.
Welcome back, Lee.
Lee Anthony Davis is back. Greetings. Welcome back. Let's see. We got Penny is here. She was the first one in. Our friend Radioactive
Penny.
is here. And I did download that song, but now I can't find it to edit it. So I haven't been able to add it to the show.
Well,
And that's it for right now. That's joining the show. So kind of hoping Brian would be here too, because I do believe he read the books. And I just no. He asked me the night that he expected to be here, but I know look, we all got shit going on, and I don't hold it against anybody when they can't make it. In fact, with tomorrow, Tom's nervous because there's some stuff going on, and he just keeps throwing out this little warning, just in case I might not be there. And if he doesn't happen, I think we'll preempt and do something else. Because really, the Beverly Hills 2 cop thing was for him and me to do.
Yeah, but we have enough Saturdays set up.
And his knowledge of Beverly Hills Cop is ridiculous. Or as my buddy would say, redonkulous.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know in advance which is the backup plan so I can.
Well, yeah, me too, because I need to watch it.
Hey, Clay.
Hi, Clay.
Clay Thomason, what's up?
Yes, he just jumped in.
Sax is here. Do it, my
Oh,
Do
yeah,
it.
I
got called. the other night to go hang out with Cameron Passion, our good buddy Zach's, and Lady Bellfire was there, Naughty was there, and there was one other person I can't remember right offhand that was there. And that was an interesting show. It did not go as I had expected, because it got kind of derailed early on, and it came a point where Cameron's like, "What kind of show are we doing right now?" I think it's time we turn this back, because it started going on about Juneteenth, and it's like, and Cameron's got people coming over from his channel, and he got nervous. I could see he was a little nervous, and so poor Zach was like trying to pull it together. AJ was the one. Oh, there's Zach. Yeah, Zach knows AJ, and it started going on about the Juneteenth stuff, and then other people kept talking about it, like, and I could just see Zach's in his eyes. I've lost control of my show.
We all know how that feels like.
Yeah, it's a little.
How do I get it back? And if you'll notice one thing, Zach, if you watched during that whole time, I didn't say a damn word, because I was trying to be a friend to you and keep this from derailing too far. Because I could tell this is derailing in a way that's going to be very annoying for Zach's in the long run. And I'm like, I wanted no part of this discussion.
Speaking of derailing,
but it ended up being a great.
Fuck you, Carl.
That's right.
You need to run the other one too. Tim just joined.
Did Tim just join? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
Man, I would love to deep fake Tim's face on that video.
I don't think I helped you very much at all, because I kept my damn mouth shut. I was just like, I'm not adding to this conversation. I'm just staying
that's what helped him so much.
away from it. It's sort of like that night I ended up on E=MC Hammer's channel, his live X show. And this guy started just jumped in and started rambling about cutting off hands and fingers, this hero character. And I knew who he was talking about, but he was just going on and on about wearing body parts. And finally, it says, "What do you think about that, Gary?" And I went, "I like turtles." I want no part of this conversation, so I am completely moving us in a new direction. I like turtles. Yeah, we had I had a good time. I hated having to leave. I had to go somebody else's show that I promised to jump onto. I can't remember who it was. I was exhausted that night. I was really tired. Yeah, it's like by the time you get to that part of the evening, there's nothing left to me. I'm ready to go to sleep. And I shared some of the artwork from I went and had another pitch meeting, and Shinatsky joined me with Tom Conkle, and I pitched him my vampire script again. Right. I'd already pitched it for me, and he liked it, but that was when I thought I had another team. But I had to go through a bunch of stuff this last year, and finally I'm at a point where, okay, those guys, I can't rely on them. I'm going to get somebody I know I can rely on, is my buddy Shinatsky, and he's going to help me pull this together and get the script done. I've already got 67 pages totally written of a 90 to a 100 page script. So a bulk of it's already done. And I'll still write some more of it. Because I've already written out all the scenes, the breakdowns for each scene. I did that before I wrote the script, started writing the script, because I wanted to make sure I had some people that are writers use these index cards to keep you on track. And I don't know if you use that, Scribe, but I use that when I'm writing little index cards. And the thing that I learned is a lot of times when you put scenes on index cards, it gives you that opportunity to see if you can rearrange that scene into another spot. And what I've learned is that a well-done screenplay is like a joke, that anything out of place screws up the punchline. So you got to make sure everything's in its place. I still don't know what Juneteenth is. It's supposed to be Emancipation Proclamation Day, but they screwed it up by throwing other ridiculous politics into it. And so I just Homer Simpson back into the bush and went, I want no part of this. I want no part of it. Let's see. That's what you did, Gary. You didn't add to it and sent me stuff in the private chat. And that's what I do. I'm just like, because I'm reminding you where we're going to be going. And I had to go early, and it kind of pissed me off. I wanted to stick around longer because I love Cameron. That dude's just so awesome. And I still feel bad that there's this bad blood between Tom and him, because Tom's one of my best buddies, and I just love Cameron. And I hate it when people I care about aren't getting along. But that happens, even in your closest friendships. Lee Anthony says, hello, panel. I would like to ask you for your opinions on the cringy music video. Brian Hump, it is just a fucking joke on top of a joke, a hat and a hat. It's like, their production is a joke, and it's its own punchline. Disney is the punchline. And then they add more to it. It's like, it can only be so cringy or so funny.
It also shows that she can't sing or dance either.
Can't sing, dance.
And it's childish. This is the thing. There's this lack of professionalism. It's like, if somebody's got a critique against you, you take it on the chin, you move on. You don't make a big show out of it. Otherwise, it makes you look like a child. There was this. This is an aside. I remember this is like maybe a year or two ago now. There was some movie with Bill Murray that was on there. And on the set during production, he said something that someone took offense to. And so one of the actresses on the set goes on to Instagram or whatever and does this whole rant talking about how offended she was and this, that, and the other. And of course, Bill Murray, apologized off to the side and everything. But I just thought, sometimes you keep your professional conflicts private, because otherwise nobody wants to work with you. If you're going to air everybody's dirty laundry all the time, if somebody makes a mistake that you interpret as something terrible. And this is that kind of stuff. It's like, this is not a professional. This is not a grown-up.
Well, there comes a point in these things too, where it's like, if everything is fucking terrible, how do you gradiate it?
Mm-hmm.
How do you make a decision on what's worse? If everything is that bad, how do you grade what's worse? And that's where these fucking idiots are. Everything is bad. And they take words, and the RAPE word, misogynist is another one they overuse and misuse. They mean sexist, but they'll say misogynist. So it's like, well, misogyny is very specific. Well, it's not important. It's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. And it goes back to that joke. I hearken to this joke. Chicago cop pulls this guy over. He says, you know why I pulled you over? And he says, you blew through that stop sign back then. He goes, yeah, well, the tree was obscuring. I didn't see it to the last second, and I tried to stop. He says, yeah, but you didn't stop. He goes, yeah, but I tried to stop. I slowed down. He goes, yeah, but you didn't stop. And he goes, yeah, but I really slowed down. I really slowed down to an almost stop. He goes, yeah, what's the difference? And he goes, step out of the car, sir. The guy gets out of the car. He says, put your hands on the hood, please. The guy puts his hands on the hood, kicks his legs apart, pulls out his baton, begins to fucking beat the shit out of this guy. He says, now, do you want me to stop or you want me to slow down?
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
It's important. Words are important. And I've always thought that was a great example of how
Speaking of which, let's talk about the writing of the 3-body problem. Oh.
Well, the 3-body problem, we do need to get into. We usually go 20 minutes before we get into it, just by the way, Scribe. We usually do our little 20-minute intro talk.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize for breaking up the ritual. Okay.
Yes, Jesus Christ. It's almost like you've never watched the show.
He wants to derail our derailing section.
You can't do that.
I'm such a ruiner. I apologize. Right. I apologize.
Never apologize.
You. I'm so offended. I'm offended at your offense sensitivity.
Well, now I need to film a music video and dance to it.
Yes, I'm so offended. I'm going to write a hip hop tune or whatever the fuck that was. I don't know what the fuck that was. But anyway, so I don't give a shit. People ask me, like, what's your stance right now on all this Disney crap? And my stance is, I don't fucking care. There's nothing coming from them that I'm interested in. I don't think, contrary to popular belief, I don't consider Jon Favreau a savior, but I do consider him the only good thing that's happened in the last 10 years.
He could have been, if he'd been empowered to do what he wanted to do.
He initially was,
yeah,
and then Bob Iger stepped back in and because Chapek had removed Kennedy and got her working on other stuff, and Bob Iger stepped back in and put her right back on Star Wars again, and that fucked the show. For whatever you thought was going to come from Mandalorian was never going to happen again because she was in charge again. So, but 3-buddy problem, we're hitting close to the mark here. So I guess we can go ahead and start on it. I liked it. There were so many good things in it, but at the same time, I was really annoyed at some of the decisions because you don't know when you start a show. And it's what I tell people. That first part is engaging because they like to use that thing that J.J. Abrams calls the mystery box. It's the mystery of what is this? What's happening here? And that is easily one of the simplest things to convey when adapting. And Benny Hoffenweiss, same people who adapted Game of Thrones and did fine on Game of Thrones until they couldn't adapt anything because somebody wasn't doing their job as a writer for them to
7, you mean?
have something to do with that. Yeah, 6 and 7. And it's 8
that's
seasons,
when it
right?
started to
6, 7, and 8 were just crap on crap. And Benny Hoffenweiss don't do well on their own. But they do a halfway decent job of adapting. But in this case, they're working with Netflix. And so Netflix also gives them check boxes that they need to work with. And they, of course, did something that I appreciate more than anything. Took it out of China. You know, I'm just not excited by sci-fi shows from China that show them as the heroes. It's like, now you guys are the last ones on the planet to fucking save anybody. You know, you put that in your fucking hat, smoke it. You know, China's not going to be the fucking savior of anybody. And so I like that they made it England. The main, I mean, some of it takes place in China still. And they make the Chinese look like fucking assholes. They do not paint a pretty picture of the communists. It opens on the beating to death of one of the main characters' father. She witnesses him being beaten to death.
That scene is rough.
By the communists. Yeah, it was. But it was necessary. And I felt it was a good scene. I like that. And they're the anti-science culture, communists. They're the ones who try to yell science all the time, but they yell bad science, like climatology. Their version of climatology is fucking insane. I mean, by the way, the whole global warming thing got its start in Eastern Europe. A lot of people don't know that. That's where it got started. Socialists, which is all a socialist is a democratically elected communist. And once they get their roots put in, you're fucked. That's what they're trying to do here.
They make a big deal out of climatology, and on the other hand, they are the biggest pollutants. Plastic.
Well, China and India are two of the greatest offenders. And if these people, you know, there is certain things that I stand by, and I've made some people mad when I said it. I don't care. You know, I'll give a shit when all these rich motherfuckers that are backing this shit move away from the coast. When they move away from the coast, I'll give a shit. But they're not. They all have fucking island retreats and all kinds of stuff. Fuck these people. And then basically, we will never see a change that goes in a direction that will fucking matter. You can create the smallest carbon footprint you want, and it'll still heat up and cool down. We have no control over that as humans. We don't. We have zero control over that. We had cool down and heat up events long before man was here. What on earth? Who caused all those problems with the carbon imprint? Dinosaurs. Fucking idiots. So, Chinese, I don't trust them on any of their fucking science. And so I think this series does a good job of poking fun at them. And in a very true way. Because she is sent, as her punishment, he was supposed to be sent to a Chinese prison camp. but instead she is sent to a satellite because of her knowledge. But once she accepts that post, she can never leave there. That's what they told her. She can never leave there. And I found that fascinating. It's a prison, but it's a prison where she's doing what she loves to do, the research. And of course, you know, she finds herself twice betrayed by men. I don't know what that was about. One man has sex with her and then takes her notes and turns it over to the commander.
Taking credit for a woman's work.
That's the next one. So she ends up at the satellite station.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because of that stolen work that was turned in to get her in trouble. But instead it got her sent there, and where they could find some use for her. And but while she is there, she befriends this other prisoner and entrusts him with what she's aware of and makes him aware of. And then she goes, "We need to tell our commander." And he's like, "Yes, we do." And then when she's doing something else, he goes and fucking takes credit for it.
Which at the end was a good thing, because the prison commander almost destroyed the other guy by ideological reasons.
Yeah. And
she was saved by the betrayal. That could have been her.
It could have been her, exactly.
And when it happened, I thought my first instinct, given the pedigree of Hollywood these days, was just like, oh God, not more of this, you know, patriarchy, men taking credit for women's work. But at the same time, it's like, well, given the setting and given the country, given the culture, it fits. It doesn't feel out of place, because I was kind of torn between what I've been conditioned to see as a checkbox ideological thing versus like, well, yes, but this is taking place at a time and a place where ideology was everything and there was a hierarchy and the patriarchy was a real thing, etc. So it kind of fits. But the other thing too, well, I got to say though, is that nothing that happened to this lady justifies what she inevitably does and sets up. None of it. It is like this is the most ridiculous tantrum given the way that the story is structured. I don't know how quickly you want to start getting into the details, but
well, we can get into because a lot of people aren't even aware really what's going on or what the three body problem is. You know, why is it called that? Is it a murder mystery? You know, and it's like, no, it deals with a tri-star system, and it deals with the fact that there's this alien species that every century or so it goes into a chaos period where they have three suns and the planet doesn't know which one to orbit.
Right. Well, the problem is that it's not predictable. That's the main element of the issue, is that it could last. There's been stable versus unstable periods of time for this planet, where it might be 10 years, it might be 1,000 years, it might be anything in between, might be 7 months, and the civilization on this planet is constantly going through a process of destruction and renewal. And so you have these aliens who cannot live on this planet perpetually. There's no stability, so they have to find a new home. And so and again, I don't know how to talk about this show without sort of jumping ahead to sort of explain the meta stuff, because otherwise, if we go episode by episode, we're basically just saying, just watch the show. So I'm not quite sure how you want to handle that.
Well, I mean, we don't need to go too much into what's the main story is, as much as delve into what we thought as the show progressed. And did you watched all the episodes, right?
I did, yes. And I did my own stream about it, and I got an absolute avalanche of feedback from people on, and there was no neutrality on this show. You either were 100% defending, at least in the experience that I had, you 100% defending it, or people going like, yeah, there were problems. I just want to read real quick, just a brief exchange I had with somebody who commented on my stream from a couple months back now. And most of my stream was fairly critical of the overall meta narrative and details therein. But this guy says, Yes, it's funny everyone's complaining, didn't even read the books. The TV show is like the books. And I said, if it's an effective adaptation, I shouldn't have to read the books in order to appreciate it. And then he
Yeah, that's
says,
a good argument. That's a good
and then he
argument.
says, it just means you wouldn't have enjoyed the book either. Just because something is popular doesn't mean everyone will like it. And I said, so not enjoying an adaptation means I wouldn't enjoy the source material. And yet somehow I still enjoy reading Watchmen versus the movie. So yeah, I had a lot of, and the other primary argument I had from people on there was, you didn't read the books, or if you understood quantum physics, then all of this would make sense. Like, I don't want to understand. I'm an English major, not a math major. So.
Yeah, and one should not. I mean, look, it's a separate form of media. You don't have. It's like you shouldn't have to read the book. And I tell people, a film or a TV series is not the same thing as a book, and nor should it be judged as such.
No.
It is an adaptation that should be judged on its own. That's why I tell friends of mine who have read books, like I have too. Many books I prefer over the film, but I also could state quite a few films I thought did a better job than the movie.
Right.
And one such author, I could say at least 3 occasions, the film was better than the book, is Stephen King.
Sure.
Because
Oh yeah,
I really
because
don't think much of him as a writer.
Yeah, there's a lot of bloat in books because there's no an author doesn't have to worry about the confines of runtime or any of the other things dealing with the film. A film has to be relatively concise, has to get across everything in an efficient manner within 90 minutes to 2 hours. Whereas a book, you can go off onto little side things and little subplots and stuff and flesh the world out. Movies don't have time for that. They don't have enough real estate, chronologically speaking, to be able to go all over the place. So I've seen plenty of movies where somebody found the core of the story in the novel, the really important stuff, sliced off all the fat, and came away with a really nice, efficient, tight script that tells everything you need to know. And then after that, once you've seen the movie and go read the book, everything that you didn't see in the movie from the book just becomes cream cheese, unless the author's lousy.
Yeah. So this a moment where it's like this. We're not going to talk about, because I think Brian read the books. I think he's one of my few friends that read the books, and
I wish he was here.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping he'd make it, but it is what it is. I have no opinion on the books. I have no interest in the books.
Right.
Again, going back to, it came out of China, and I have trouble anything modern coming out of China. And I heard that the books were critical of communism. I don't know if that's true, and I just don't want to waste my time on it. I want to focus my energy usually on history books. Since the 2000s, I've turned my attention from reading fiction to focusing only on biographies and history books, because they're the only thing that just really hold my attention anymore. But when it comes to these kinds of stories, I enjoy watching a film or a TV show, because it's a handful of hours that I could be doing something else while I'm doing it, because I'm usually doing artwork or other things while I'm watching or listening to a TV show or a movie. And it's so funny because you think, I got all the information from it. What's funny is, if you've ever done this, been working while listening to a movie, you have images in your own head. So when you actually sit down to watch it again later, you go, wow, it's like I never watched this before. Oh, that's right, I didn't actually watch it. I listened to it.
I forget who it was. There was someone, I don't remember who it was. It was somebody famous or something, where when they grew up, they didn't have a VCR or something, but they had the Star Wars trilogy, the movie audio, all on cassette tape. And so they'd listen to it, and they didn't have any visual reference for it. And so before they actually saw the movie, they'd already seen the movie in their mind, and it was a completely different experience.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So,
because, well, BBC Radio put out the radio dramas too.
Oh yeah, that was great.
And they were really good. I have them. And I also was notorious for buying the story albums that were put out with the movie. So it would be like Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I had all 3 of them in LP form, and they were shorter, truncated versions of the story with a narrator. And it had the music and everything and the real actors' voices, but it was just a shorter version of the movie. I love doing that too. So it's very similar to what you're talking about.
So, as far as this show is concerned, I mean, we could talk about individual characters and stuff, but to me, the entire series rises or falls on the sense of the aliens, the logic of the aliens. Because if that doesn't make sense, and to me it didn't, I'll just preface that now, everything else becomes sort of sidewise unimportant, because the whole situation is perpetuated by the aliens and their actions. So like I said, I don't know how you want to approach talking about the show, if you want to start with characters and move on to other things, but I'm really focused on the aliens specifically and a couple of actions by the humans. But
well, the aliens, look, a science fiction film about a potential invasion of all mankind. So an invasion film is only going to be as good as the threat.
Right.
But that's the thing. They seem so advanced, yet they cannot, for the life of themselves, figure out how to solve their problem. It's like they know everything but this one thing. And that was weird.
Well,
they're fine with us at first, if you remember, too. They're fine with us at first
until they find out about stories.
Mike Evans' character, played by Jonathan Pryce, tells them an allegorical story. And they don't understand fiction. And they don't understand what they see as lying.
Well, here's the problem then, though, is that so you're telling, and I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm talking about like the story. The story is telling me that you have these aliens who have lived thousands of civilizations rising and falling on their planet. Who knows how many iterations of culture, technology, everything else. They have no concept of deception. They have no concept of lying. They have no concept of storytelling or passing on information. They've been talking to this guy. I forget exactly how long they had the direct phone line to the aliens. I'm going to guess it's at least a decade or two, because I remember the scene where they were assembling the radio or whatever based on the schematics they got. And in the course of all that time and him communicating with them and discussing human culture and preparing them for their eventual arrival, it's only when suddenly, years after the fact, he decides to read Little Red Riding Hood that the concept of deception or lying comes up.
He's been reading fairy tales to them.
Odd, because they've been paying attention to our culture for a while, and this only just now came up. And that was kind of a weird moment for me, too, because that makes no sense that this is their first running into this idea. And it's like, and then they just shut down on it.
Right.
Actually, this is a good point.
Well, if I may,
point.
If I may, their interaction has until the cell phone computers appeared, has been only through radio with how against is the name of the guy?
Price.
Yeah, Jonathan
Pryce's character.
Yes,
Mike
Jonathan
Evans
Pryce
was the character name.
Okay, Mike Evans. They have only interacted with Mike Evans directly until recently they deployed the 2 cell phone computer, and the moment you can, they say the old installation, the cyclotrons, and everything is beginning to fail to give erroneous data. That is when the computers arrived. So they are having first-hand interaction. Well, spying on humans for the first time in a very short span of time, days maybe.
Well, when we finally have,
you have this guy, that is obviously a fanatical, and he's not gonna lie. But however,
yeah, I'm sorry.
They have no concept of deceiving. They it's not that, oh, you're lying. No, they had Evans had to describe to them, to explain what is lying and what is deceiving, and that is where they freak out.
Well, but that, see, again, that flies in the so the story starts, or I should say, after the flashback to the Chinese Revolution, when we get into the modern day. We're already having the situation where scientists, and for those of you who haven't watched the show, this is nothing but spoilers, and so some context is going to be left behind. But just to explain a little bit, the modern story starts with an epidemic of scientists, how shall I say this for YouTube, subtracting themselves from the equation of life on a regular
Or
basis.
having accidents. So,
Or accidents or things like that. And so what's happening is that some months, just a few months prior to the events of the show starting in the modern day, because when the aliens finally reveal their plan, like a Republic serial villain, they say that their sophons, these tiny little protonic computers, have been on Earth for a few months at that point. And so we start with these scientists harming themselves or otherwise having accidents. And the aliens they're drawing these countdown timers on the inside of the eyeballs of the scientists as a kind of threat, as a kind of distraction, as a way to sort of warn them against working on their scientific endeavors or whatever. And if the aliens don't understand deception or lying, why not just say, stop working on your science? Why have countdowns? It's so abstract and weird.
Okay, that's the thing. Remember, they have that crazy chick, the operative that is in charge of killing the scientists, and you have no reason to think that she didn't warn every other scientist in the same way that she warned Augie. She contacted them and said,
right,
that countdown is the time that you have to stop your work, or else.
Right. But the issue is that if you target, so these aliens are super, super smart. They've got at least one super. I never really figured out what this chick's deal was. Maybe they'll explain it in season 2 or something. But she was like
freaking crazy.
She's crazy, but she's also super strong or something. But anyway, so just as an overarching thing, the aliens' plan is they want to intimidate, destroy, distract, whatever, the scientists on Earth in order to stunt scientific progress, in that human beings, by the time the aliens arrive in 400 years, will be no threat to the aliens taking over. That's my understanding. Now, if I'm wrong about that, if I've misremembered, okay. So if their plan is to stop scientific progress by targeting individual scientists, that doesn't make any sense. Scientists rarely ever work alone unless there's some kind of inventor in their garage. They got teams of people, they have research notes, they have data. Taking out one scientist doesn't stop scientific progress on any particular subject. Like our main character who's working on nanofibers. She's not the only one on the planet working on this. So they take out her or they intimidate her. Well, somebody just picks up her notes, because more likely than not, she doesn't own her own work. She's got funders and benefactors and everything else. Yeah. So the logic of the plan the aliens have by doing this makes no sense given what we already know. Go ahead.
It will be reduced to a game of whack-a-mole.
Yeah. And so super advanced aliens, this is their plan. Here's the thing. What we find out later, for those of you in the chat that don't know, is that these tiny little protonic computers that are zipping around the Earth at light speed can see anything, hear anything, observe anything, and beam it directly back to the aliens in real time, so they have a complete picture of everything that's happening, or at least that's what we're told they can do. And so, presumption is enough to make everybody scared. But either way, the aliens are effectively omniscient. Not omnipotent per se, but omniscient. They can know anything. And so
there's something they cannot know.
What's that?
What is in your mind?
Well, they can't read minds. They can't read minds. But here's the thing they can do. Here's the thing they can do, and that we see them do. These protonic computers somehow also have the ability to expand their mass in such a fashion as to envelop the entire planet. And they do this once, about 3/4 of the way through the series, and then suddenly by the next episode, the skies are blue and the clouds are out again. And they never do that again. And at that same time, they also disrupt every communication device on Earth to announce their presence and make people fear them. Now, if I was an alien invading force and I wanted a planet, they were not coming here for humans. It's not like they needed host bodies or something. I wanted a planet that was not going to be destroying itself every 10 years or something.
We don't know that.
Well, okay, but again, with the information,
nothing about them.
Well, I know, but given the information we're provided in the show thus far, like I said, I haven't read the books. Maybe there's something else, but given the information provided in the show, if all they need is the planet and its resources and its stability, and they don't care about the humans, and they want the humans to be stunted as to not be a threat to the aliens, and they have a computer that can envelop the Earth and disrupt all electronic communication, why not just do that from the jump? If you disrupt all electronic communication on Earth in a time of technology as we have it, you could stunt human progress back to the 1950s, radio waves at best, for the next 400 years. And then you wouldn't have to worry about it. Why go through all this kabuki theater of numbers on eyeballs and having a cult that you ultimately sacrifice and don't actually make use of in any way? All this, the core intention of the aliens could be so easily achieved with the powers and the abilities that they've already expressed by the time we get through 3/4 way through the series. And so none of the previous events make any sense. That's, I guess, my main conundrum about the whole logic of the show.
They are friendly at first, though, remember?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Well, friendly. They're not friendly, nothing. Their first message was written by an alien saying, "You are lucky that you're talking to me. I'm one of the few pacifists of my species. Do not contact us again because we will smack you into oblivion."
The game with that weird headsets, that is to find out if humans can help them. So they don't just want to.
Oh, because they're recruiting acolytes.
Planet. They are trying.
It's the Excalibur, the sword and the stone thing.
They're recruiting acolytes. That's it. Now
to do what though? But to do what?
Wait,
sorry, okay.
To try and find out if there's a way to save the planet.
I have to tell you this, subscribe. Bravo, my friend! I applaud to you. With that thing of the computer. Why didn't you use the full power of the cell phones? Yeah, I hadn't think about that, dude. You're awesome.
I want to go into some of the chat right now. I'm going to read these real quick. So Lee Anthony Davis says, "Hello, panel. Did you think Independence Day a good depiction of what you are talking about, even though it's a good old-fashioned blockbuster?" I liked Independence Day. It was silly, but it was fun. But I don't consider it a really good invasion film. The best invasion films for me is, look, I fall into the category that absolutely believes that any culture that's greater than ours makes its way here, it's going to be an invasion force. And, it'll be just like the Spanish conquistadors going into South America. It will not be a good thing. It's 100% clear that the aliens the humans are talking to are the actual aliens or just their AI system. I couldn't figure that out. Is the AI, because we know if you pay attention to what they're saying, they already launched and have left their world.
Yeah.
If I understand correctly, they have already, but how long has it been since they left? And are those how are we gauging that time? Because, if you get into Einstein's theory of relativity, that might be next week that they show up.
No,
they say from 400 years.
Yes,
they launch. It's going to take 400 years.
They launch.
You guys understand how time travel works? I mean, traveling at the speed of light, right? Or
they are not going to the speed of light.
Subspace. I just said subspace, so they're going just below the speed of light. I don't know. You don't know when they're going to be here.
Yes,
400 years.
Yeah, they said it.
They say that. They calculated it. They know it's going to take them 400 years to reach Earth.
This is almost like Star Trek Discovery science I'm hearing right now. Because
Well, this is
travel at a
Okay,
specific rate of
the
speed.
aliens that do not lie because they don't know how to told them they're going to take 400 years to come to reach the destination.
Yeah. As far as the science in this show, I mean, let's just be honest. It is science fiction, so there's a lot of massaging go around, especially since the very initiating event. Well, the initiating event of this whole story is the idea that the WOW signal came in. China picked it up at the same time, but picked it up faster or something because it bounced off the sun. And so if you aim a radio signal at the sun, it will amplify the signal. And then the Chinese lady contacts the aliens send a signal back, but no one else on Earth picks up this signal. That it's not like you can have like an exact beam transmission straight into that satellite dish or whatever.
No, that's
and no one else is
where
hear
I'm
it.
talking the Star Trek Discovery type of
exactly. So
if
we have to kind of set the science questions aside because it's all kind of muddled and mushy science. But I'm more intrigued, I guess, by the character logic of both the aliens and later on. I got a really big question about the humans' plan, but we can get into that later. So,
well, from what I understand, the original book that this is based on was written for science fiction nerds, sci-fi nerds, science nerds.
Sure.
So Radioactive, some hard sci-fi is written by scientists for science-oriented audiences, which is what I grew up reading. In fact, I think it might have been Radioactive that brought it up, is Larry Niven with Footfall. Yes. I knew quantum physics. I'd invest in those unlikable characters. Doubt that. Right. That's the problem. You know, they are making their characters. I understand the idea of character arcs, but you don't make your heroes so detestable that even when they begin a character arc, you still don't fucking like them. You know, and as a writing instructor told me, he says, it takes no effort or work to create characters nobody likes. The hard work is in creating characters that your audience can identify with or at least appreciate and like. Respect even. So let's see. Radioactive again. The show seemed to imply the girl assassin is genetically modified.
Yes.
I got that too.
I don't.
Yeah.
Hey, Gary and company. Good afternoon, Reed. And by the way, I do have a video for you, Radioactive. Here you go. So, let's see. Our good buddy Zach says, I was sold on the show for the first 3 episodes. Pretty much the same spot I was in. Those first 3, fantastic. But then it became a completely different show. Not only that, it just sort of like, it had throwaway junk science in it. And it just threw a lot of it away. And it's like, whoa, it's, as a science nerd, I go, well, what are you doing? You can't, that's important stuff you just threw away.
And there were character interactions and things that made very little sense to me. Like, I want to talk real quick about, again, I don't know what's in the books, and the books could be an absolute masterpiece. And I had so many people arguing with me, oh, the books are great. The books are like, I don't care. Either this thing I'm watching is worthwhile and it makes sense, or it doesn't. But there's one character in Amongst the Humans that just baffled me because he had absolutely no purpose except to be sad and to slowly die and leave a bunch of money behind. Like, the guy did nothing. He was all this group of friends, which all just happened to be brilliant scientists in their own right or something, or brand marketing manager guys in the one instance. The one guy, was it Willie, I think it was, or something like that. He's diagnosed with terminal cancer at the beginning of the series.
Will Downing. Will Downing is his name. Yeah.
Right. He's given some, I don't know if they say how long he's been given to live, but it's some ridiculously short amount of time, like 6 months or something. Which also puts,
it's always ridiculous when they give them the time they have left. No doctor would do that in real life.
Yeah, it's true.
You can't know.
Dude, pancreatic cancer is
right. Pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, you can tell it's going to be short.
The worst.
Yeah, you cannot give the time though.
But his entire character is just pining after our main scientist girl, not telling her how he feels, and being sad and dying. Like, every scene that we see him in is just him sitting around being sad and dying and not telling the girl that he likes her. And it gets so
she loves him too. It's fucked up. what the two.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost see that kind of dynamic in real life. The problem is that they overplay it and they repeat the same thing. It's like there's no new information every time we have a scene like that. It's like he just kind of looks at her, and he just kind of looks off in the distance, and he's sitting on the beach, and he's like all sad, and it's gray, and he's dying. And by the way, he's sad, it's gray, and it's dying. He still hasn't told her what he
Giant
feels.
floating paper boats.
Oh, the paper boats. Yes, we have the big fantasy about floating off into the distance and everything. He does nothing. Every scene he shows up after the first 2 or 3, it just slows everything.
Here's the thing about
down and
science
does
fiction
nothing.
fans. Science fiction fans, as a whole, tend to almost always be very pragmatic people that read science fiction, that write it. And that was like just so weird. And I did not appreciate it one bit, the paper boats thing. I just thought it was weird.
That was bizarre.
The whole character just had the purpose of being the perfect candidate.
I thought that they had just suddenly actually shown up there. But I'm like, there's like, and then nobody else is reacting. So it was all in his fucking head. Oh, fuck off with that shit.
About the paper boats, they shouldn't have used it in this part. I know why they did, because in the second book, the paper books form part of an analogy of technology they are designing. However, to use it like in the way that they use it in this season was just only for melodramatic purposes, and I think it was a mistake.
I'm not sure what Martin said, but it sounded good.
It's that they use the paper boat analogy in the wrong way too early in the story, and it doesn't make sense because there's no context.
It doesn't make sense, so there is no context. And I agree with you, Martin. Yeah. You're right. You nailed that one.
Yeah, and his like Anima said, his only purpose as far as this adaptation of the story is just to set him up to be the genius brain. That's it. He is the genius brain, and we just have to keep constantly reminding
he's in the story, guys. They shot into space.
The genius brain they shot into space on a Hail Mary idea using 300 nuclear bombs to try to hit a target the size of a postage stamp in the vastness of space. That whole good gravy. I was just like rolling my eyes halfway through the back of my brain every time that they brought that up. It's like, this is how you use your resources.
Trek Discovery Science.
Here's my thing. Okay, I can't help myself here. All right. So if you're a human, the human species, you know you have an alien force coming for you. You know this alien force has a perfect surveillance system on your planet. They can see, hear, whatever, analyze, even invade some computer systems type stuff, anything at any time at the speed of light, and beam it exactly right back to your enemy who is oncoming. 400 years. They're going to know everything by the time they get here. What is your first priority? Is your first priority to set up a chain of nuclear bombs to send a diplomatic and or poison pill mission off to this invading fleet? Or should it be trying to come up with a way to defeat their surveillance system? Like, is there a way to communicate one to another without risking the aliens finding out about it? Now, the solution they put in the story is to empower these individual people called wall facers to be these sort of like individual, independent, fully empowered, walking around genius boxes who are going to come up with the solutions to fight the aliens. Except, how does an individual come up with a solution to fight the aliens? A, all by their lonesome. B, without writing anything down. C, without communicating with anybody. And then even if they do, even if they have a perfect human-brained computer to come up with some element to fight the aliens, how do they transmit that information to someone else to affect them? What do they do with that information? And why, if the aliens can make any individual see anything with these computers, making these perfect little illusions in front of their eyes, like we saw at the end of the series where that guy sees a version of himself where he's like dying or something. If you know that these guys are called wall facers because they've announced it publicly, why wouldn't you target those individuals to see a green light instead of a red light and have them run into traffic? Why wouldn't you just like torment those individuals forever and screw them up so that they don't actually come up with anything? So
all you got to do is change advanced technology could change the pawns and cones in the eye, and actually you can make somebody misread lights.
Oh, exactly.
Like
And then
doing that.
they've already shown that they can do that with their computers. So my thought was, and I know this is a little bit off, but I couldn't help but keep thinking, how could you have they cannot read minds? We know they can't read minds, or at least we assume they can't. They
don't
can see and
understand
hear.
deception.
They don't understand deception, or that's bullshit. But anyway, I thought of something. Okay, did you guys ever see the movie Sneakers?
Yeah.
Okay,
Robert
there's
Redford and gang.
Yeah, Robert Redford. So there's a character in the movie Sneakers named Whistler, and Whistler is blind. And one of the things that he uses in order to still be a computer hacker is he's got this little braille terminal that has little rising things coming up against your fingertips that let him know the little braille characters. It's not written down on a piece of paper. It's not something that can be observed if your fingers are over the terminal. And so I was thinking, is that how you could communicate with one another without the aliens being able to see it? Because they can't read minds or nervous systems. And if your fingers are covering up the terminal, then conceivably you could send messages back to one another without the aliens observing it or hearing it or reading it. But either way, even if that wouldn't work, the fact that their first priority isn't to find a way to try to circumvent the observation of the aliens to be able to communicate country to country, nation to nation, expert to expert, is just blows my mind. Instead, it's like, oh, daisy chain nuclear bombs. Like, what? My brain exploded, sort of like the guy who had his brain put into the capsule.
No, I don't have problem with that. My problem is, I don't have problem with the plan to send the brain of the other guy. My problem
This is so
really,
silly.
No, my problem really was that they only try one solution at a time
Yeah, that
instead
too.
of trying attacking the
Multiple fronts.
Yes, exactly. At the same time, because it's hard as hell. You had something as small as a photon moving at speed of light over the surface of the whole freaking planet. I kind of see the problem in catching that. But yeah, the fact that it's a hard problem doesn't mean that you don't have to work on it.
Yeah.
Especially
By
when
the
it
way,
is the main
I want
problem.
to let Scribe know that Lee Anthony subscribed to your channel.
Yep, I saw that, and thank you, Lee. Appreciate it.
Radioactive says, if you want a blunt force invasion, Larry Niven's, that's the one. Yeah, Larry Niven's Footfall. It's very good. There are some great sci-fi that came out in the 80s and going into the 90s that I really did like.
Oh my God. Sucks solve everything.
Here's what Earth should do. Call the aliens a bunch of racist bigots before you meet them. Black squares on Insta imply they will disproportionately harm marginalized people and the LGBTQ2S community. First of all, Zach's way for overthinking that. Awesome job. But if it'll stop him, fuck it. But let's see who all is here. We got Aaron Baker, Read by Nature, Tim, E. Clay Thomason, Lee Anthony Davis, Andy Morrow, Noah Asensio, Radioactive Penny is here. So hope everybody's having a good Friday. It's end of the week, and we're talking about three bot. I should watch the other miniseries in film, and from my understanding, there's another film coming out.
Yes,
there's the Chinese version of the miniseries that I haven't watched, but
yeah, I love it when the Chinese communists put out movies that make them the heroes of the universe and save everybody.
Sure.
It's like,
sure,
yeah, that'll happen.
Oh, speaking of alien invasions, or good, well-represented ones, and I talked about this, I think, just the other day on a different stream. There's a great series called World War by a guy named Harry Turtledove, and it's an alternate history series where in the middle of
Turtledove.
In the middle of World War II, aliens invade. And these aliens are realistic in the sense that their technology is, save for the interstellar stuff, otherwise their battle technology is essentially like maybe 21st or let's say 22nd century Earth kind of stuff, but it's within the realm of reason. And the really cool thing about these aliens, and I'm spoiler alert slightly, is that they sent their invasion fleet off, however many generations previous to try to conquer this planet. But they come from a culture, from a planet that had no oceans. And so their entire society is basically a unified monolith. And their concept of the development of things is so slow to ours that when their probes sent back the information about Earth at the time, they showed a bunch of humans riding around on horses with sticks. And they were like, oh, we can conquer these guys easy. We'll get there in 500 years and it'll be easy. And they show up. And of course, they have no idea about human competition or innovation or the forces that drive that kind of technological development. So they show up thinking they're going to have horses and sticks. Instead, it's the middle of World War II with tanks, planes, machine guns, and oncoming nuclear bombs. And they're caught off guard. And that causes all sorts of consternation. It's a great series of books. Only the first four, though. I can only recommend the first four.
I've actually talked to Script Doctor about him because Script Doctor has that alternate history story he's working on, and I brought up Turtle Dove because he made a career of writing alternate history.
Guns of the South. I read a lot of his stuff. Yeah,
and I never read anything of his. I just know who he is because my late friend Mike Anderson just kept bringing him up to me. You need to talk to him about doing book covers. I said, I will never fucking do book covers for that guy. It'll never happen. The guy has real serious artists that work for the publisher.
Right.
I work with a specific publisher and I work with the clients for that publisher. That's how artists tend to work. They don't usually go looking for new artists when they have got in-house or their regular artists that they work with. Hey, Alan, how you doing? But that's how I knew who he was because my late friend brought him up all the time. Just would speak about them to the point where I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, Turtle Dove again.
Yeah, his early books are really great. Guns of the South. He did a book called The Two Georges with Richard Dreyfuss as a co-author. It was it was really interesting. Like King George and George Washington reach a truce, and you have America as sort of an outlier of the British colonies. It's a really interesting setup.
Yeah, and that he got Dreyfuss to do that is really fucking wackadoo.
Yeah, that was something else. But anyway, sorry for the. But just as far as like good alien invasion stories, that's a good one.
I go back. My favorite stuff was written, right after World War II. I love Who Goes There by Joseph Campbell.
Yep.
And which was eventually The Thing.
Yep.
Puppet Masters. I loved Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Just all those, post World War II. Right into the middle of the communist scare thing.
Right. Yeah, the Red Scare, yeah.
It's some of the best writing because when you think about it, that kind of paranoia is really very frightening to human beings. And that they found a way of playing with that is just a miracle. Because it came about because of the Red Scare.
So what did you guys think of the cult in the story?
It made sense to me because, and I got to tell you, somebody asked about who made the helmets. I believe the helmets were made here. They were manufactured here through their agents that they have working for them and the AI they're using. We're able to manufacture things here. And that virtual world, those helmets had to be made specifically for each person that it was given to. And I thought that was one of the mystery box things I thought that was interesting about the show. But it didn't go anywhere.
Well, this is my original thought was with the whole VR headsets thing was that, and again, if this was said explicitly in the show and somebody knows it, correct me, but they give these VR headsets to these super duper genius people, and they're there to effectively try to solve or determine what is going on this alien planet with the suns and everything. And so my thought was, this is an attempt to get the greatest minds of Earth to try and solve for an unsolvable problem so that they can understand the aliens' dilemma and therefore make it an easier sell to people why there are aliens coming. So it's
that's what it should have been used for.
That's what I thought it was. That's what I thought it was. I thought, okay, so this is They want to intellectually and scientifically prove to people who can convince others that their
Why
intentions,
they have to come here.
right, their intentions are pragmatic, their intentions are not hostile, they have no other choice. This is the dilemma that they are stuck with on their tri-star system, and that's it. But then
You're
they
not
do things like,
studying it.
well, but at the same time, though, they're also intimidating scientists and causing them to go nuts and everything. It's such a mixed message of exactly what their intentions are, because if you want the scientists on your side, why are you scaring the hell out of them till where they hurt themselves or something else happens? If you want these scientists to come onto your side to be your emissaries, your diplomats or something, you can't stunt their work, because then that makes them irrelevant to human. It's all so what? It just doesn't make any
I
sense.
kind of
Well,
disagree
you
with
don't need-
Stanatsky.
Well, I
Why?
disagree too, because this requires the intent to deceive.
No, it's not just that. It's because they're very specific about who they want to go into that world and try it. Because if somebody puts on a headset who isn't meant to be in that game, be he or she brilliant as they want, they get the head cut off and that's it.
Well, except
So-
that they eventually give one to Snack Marketing Guy, and he does nothing. He contributes nothing to it. He's not the main one of the main scientists. He's there like comic relief. And so again, the motivations and the purpose of the entire game doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you're trying to recruit people to your side to make
Also,
be emissaries.
his rejection of it and imminent murder is just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, that's I didn't understand. Like, why take him out? It doesn't.
Because
There was no
he
need
didn't want to
kill
do
him.
it anymore. Well,
There was no point. What, he doesn't pose a threat to you. Why are you killing him?
because he's useless. They don't feel bad
Useless.
about getting
That's
rid
all
of
of
people who are
humanity
useless.
at this point.
Yeah.
You
Of what use is humanity to these aliens? I guess that's my main question, is like all this interaction, all this subversion and sabotage and everything else. Is it ever explained in the show why the aliens care whether people live or die on Earth
Because-
prior to their arrival?
Because, and I think that's the point of the game, is at the beginning they're still trying to figure out, is it possible that they can help us, because they advance so fast in technology, way faster than the aliens. I mean, they are up high, but they've seen how quickly humanity developed new things. So they have hope that maybe the most brilliant minds can help them fix their problems, so they don't have to leave the planet, because they're just
Sure.
one ship on the way.
No, the problem
Most
is
of them are there
unsolvable.
dying.
They already
We
already
don't know
left the
that.
planet. Well, no, that's the thing, is that, well, at least this was my understanding. My understanding was the VR game was to prove, and again, demonstrate to the human scientists that the situation the aliens are coming from is an impossible one, and that's why they have to leave, and that's why they have to arrive. If they
But
want
why do they have the
scientists-
levels then? Why the
well,
levels?
again, like this doesn't make any sense. It's like if they're trying to get the scientists to help them, quote unquote, solve the problem. Which, how do you solve the problem of a celestial body configuration that you can't control? I don't know, but the only thing that makes it the only possibility that makes sense to me, and I just want to, and it was suggested in the first interaction with the aliens, is that unbeknownst to us, the audience, and again, I haven't read the book, so I don't know. Unbeknownst to us, the audience, there are two or more alien factions of ideology aiming their things at Earth, and they're competing, but we don't know it.
Yeah, that would explain why we're having two things going on with the headset and the blinding them with the numbers.
Yes,
then that would make sense if there was two worlds.
Yeah, if you have two factions, two ideologies that are at war with each other behind the scenes, and one doesn't care about humans, one wants humans to help us, etc., and they keep going back and forth. If that is what is happening, it still wouldn't explain a bunch of the other giant logic plot holes in the aliens' plans overall, especially the purpose of the Sophons and the capabilities of the Sophons. But that would at least explain the almost schizophrenic nature of the actions taken by the aliens in these different paths to conquest that they're going after.
It's absolutely possible. I mean, remember the first message? You're lucky that I'm the one to respond because I'm peaceful.
Right. That's what I mean.
That is an interesting point, because it said told her not to respond.
Yeah. So I'm
And,
guessing the peaceful fraction is a very, very small one. And they just
But
tried to warn
doesn't
them.
that also suggest that the aliens and the peaceful alien knows what deception and lying is? Because if he's the only one that knows,
because they're not saying anything.
Right, they're not saying they can say, well, don't say it again because then they'll find out. So just keep it to yourself, stay on the down low. So, I mean, that does suggest there's some, that the aliens are not a monolith, that they do have some kind of societal, if not like schism, at least there's not a one way of thinking about everything, which kind of goes against everything else that was suggested. But again, if that is so, it is never explicitly, or even, I think, implicitly nudged to the audience that could be a possibility. At least one character, the lady that originally contacted them, could have brought that up to some of the other characters. But as far as I know, she never gives details to anyone else about the nature of her first communication with the aliens to any of our modern day protagonists. So if there was supposed to be some sort of nuanced consideration for that, I never got it. I came up with that. I came up with that as the only way this makes sense. I was like doing the work of the writers for them, trying to fill in the blanks and make it make some kind of sense. But that's the best I could come up with.
Well, that Chinese lady probably got brainwashed pretty quickly into forming that cult. That's why.
Well, I will tell you that most physicists, especially the learned ones who have done most of the writing over the last 50 years, have the general consensus that we shouldn't be sending out signals. We should be very quiet. And because a question was asked a long time ago, if they are out there, why are they quiet? Maybe because they know that you should be quiet. And that's when our theoretical physicists and astrophysicists kind of agreed, going, maybe we should not try to communicate with alien life forms and sending signals out. Maybe sending that gold record out years ago with,
the
address
and everything,
all this information wasn't such a good idea. We come in peace, and you go in pieces.
But I mean, given the vastness of space and everything else, we could be missing the mark of actually contacting anybody by 10 feet, and we'd never know the difference anyway. If we just adjusted it another couple of degrees, and then we never go back there again. So it's like it's an enormous consideration. But you're probably right. It's like we don't know if we do find an intelligent life out there. You don't know where you don't know who you're opening your door to is the problem.
Well, what if they are already watching us and that probe was just skewed to them?
Well, I believe they are watching us.
Me too.
Yeah. And that's what we've been dealing with. Don Ecker and I talk about it all the time on Mondays, that these things are probably even among us.
I like time travelers rather than aliens from other planets. I like time.
Well, that's one thing we talk about is that they use dimensional portals to travel from, that the great theory of the string theory, which oddly is the one theory that absolutely can't be tested in any way, shape, or form. And yet we keep following the string theory. There are other theories that you could be testing, but that's the one we go on and you can't test it, the string theory. But if the string theory works, then that every single time a person makes a decision, it could have ended up differently. And that can cause a schism and cause a branching out of a timeline, which I think is insane. I don't think that's possible. But I do think that, what do they call those? Fixed events in history that no matter what are going to occur. It's sort of like, with the human body. People think that, I'll stay healthy and I'll avoid having a heart attack. Sorry, that heart attack is actually encoded in you. You're going to have it. If you have a heart attack, it's because it was coded in your heart when you were born. It's already in there. And your ability to survive it, possibly health can have an impact on it. But, the fact is there are these moments in time, just like a heart attack, that are coded to happen, and they happen. And when you do that, it's what they talk about, like on Doctor Who and other shows that do time traveling, where they go, you can't change those points. And if you try to, that's where you can do irreparable damage. And so if aliens are time travelers that are able to go back and forward in time, and they're us, like 1,000 years from now, there is that potential there. But also, if they were, why are they being secretive? And we believe that there has been communication with the U.S. government, which is why the U.S. government in particular is so fucking quiet on it. They go, yeah, those Tic Tacs are interesting. So what about it? That's Roswell. We don't talk about that.
Meanwhile, in Mexico, hey, here's some dead aliens. Here's a press conference.
Oh yeah, alien mummies. I like
Yeah.
those alien mummies.
That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I don't know. I saw the George Bush administration. I think I've seen dumber things.
GW.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. As much as a guy annoys me, nobody seemed to relish being made fun of like him. And so much so that he started calling his strategy meetings strategery meetings.
Well, the only way you can handle that kind of stuff is to embrace it. I mean, really, it's just going to overwhelm you otherwise. It
It's almost
depends,
like
I guess,
the
on
whole
you know.
backdoor thing. Just saying.
Oh boy.
What, this one?
Yeah, see? Just
Yeah.
if you fight it, it gets worse. If you just embrace it, it just comes in trickles.
So what you're
So
saying
embrace
is
it and give him
relax
a
and let it
video.
happen?
Though my
No,
own-
I'm absolutely a student of Eric Weinstein. The guy's fucking brilliant. But you listen to him talk that he wants to take on some of these minds that control the government of science. And because they've been forced to hold this position on string theory, forced to do it. And there are other theoretical scientists out there that are offering other tangible possible theories. I mean, even when I talked to my buddy John Brandenburg, he was abrasive with me when I brought up the theories that Eric Weinstein brought up. And I'm like, wow, no wonder it's an uphill battle. It's fucking science. You shouldn't be embracing just one theory ever. You know, that's very odd. And I trust physicists more than I trust natural scientists any day of the damn week. Because natural scientists is what came up with evolution, and evolution doesn't make sense at certain points. It just doesn't. It's not how species works. Yet what Darwin was writing about was not evolution, but how one single species can change things about itself towards its environment. So
Survival of the fittest, you mean?
yeah, it's like their beaks got bigger, their wings got fatter, they became a ground-based bird and don't fly anymore. You know, all those kinds of things. That's adaptation. It's not evolution.
So
Yeah.
on that note, as a segue, given the series as we've seen it so far, and again, not knowing the books, what do we think is the next step for the humans in trying to oppose the aliens?
Well, they can't
And
even get a
especially-
fucking rocket off the ground and get it where they're going.
Yeah, within the confines of what we've seen so far and how the aliens have been presented and their capabilities. And if somebody in the chat already know, or the chat or the
I
or on the
know.
panel, if
I
you already
know,
know,
but-
if you already know, then don't give it away. But I'm just curious with the people that would just watch the show, where do we go from here as a species, given what we know about the situation? Where do you think?
I'm sorry. Now that song just got. Thanks a lot, Scribe.
Where
You threw
do
that
we
song in.
go from here?
Now that all of the children have grown up. It's Alan
Oh,
Parsons.
that song. Oh, I was thinking of the
Buffy one.
yeah, the other one. The filter,
Evita
the
has
filter
one
song.
too.
I'm at a loss. I assume the wall facers, these empowered, independent human computer planning machines, will have something to do with it. I'm still at a loss as to how they will do
How
anything
can
productive.
you do anything productive without the ability to communicate?
My first thought was I tried to think this. And I thought, okay, if I was a super duper guy and I had all the plans in my head and I didn't need to write them down, how could I affect something without the aliens knowing? So what I would do, and of course it eventually runs out of steam. But what I would do is like, okay, let's say I need to make a machine. I would order 75 different items where only 2 of them are the ones that I need, and I put them aside. And then I'd order this and that. I'd never say out loud what I need. I just like try to, put a bunch of disinformation into my plans as I'm doing things.
Yeah, you order 5 items when you only need one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it is. And then do that over and over until I have all the pieces that I need. But at some point, I'm going to have to start putting this thing together. I can't tell anybody else about it. I can't consult anyone else on how to do it, or else they're going to know what my plan is. They're going to know what the thing is. Even if they don't have a way to counteract it right then, they got 200-300 years or whatever more to figure out a strategy around it. So I honestly do not see, given the parameters of what the Sophons can do, and the only safe place is in your own mind, what possible use can these wall facer concepts be to solving the problem?
Well,
that's my mental exercise. I'm trying to figure out, if I can figure out that, then maybe whatever happens next makes sense.
They should have
something for you
included into the premise people who can do that. Oh, I forget what it's called. Don talks about it all the time on the show, where they can, using telepathy, look at things elsewhere, and
remote viewing.
Remote viewing. That you get some of these people who are capable of remote viewing, and that is their computer. They use these people capable of remote viewing. And that would be probably the only hope of communicating between these 3, because they have to communicate. If there is no communication between these 3, there is no hope for the human species.
However,
they have to be able to communicate.
However, out of the context of whatever the book says, imagine this. You have these aliens. They do not know the concept of deceiving, make them very gullible. These wall facers, they may be just decoys.
Oh, it could be a feint.
The aliens would be focused all their efforts and energy on the wall facers.
But that's the problem. They've already told us. And again, maybe it's just an urban legend, but as far as we know, these little mini computers can be anywhere, everywhere, at any time doing anything. So they could be paying attention to a wall facer next and then be in another room half a second behind later because of speed of light stuff. If it is supposed to be a distraction, if it is supposed to be a feint, it's not a good one, because as far as we know, the aliens are effectively, save for mind reading, omniscient. How do you defeat an enemy who can know your plans? Or even if you believe that they can know your plans at any time, how do you subvert that effectively?
Right. And by the way, for those of you who didn't catch what you said there, a feint. That is a boxing term, fighting term, meaning that you feint one direction when your attack is actually coming from the other direction.
Right.
And you feint one way and then come in with the other fist.
Yeah, the aliens have no weaknesses yet. Yeah, they have no weaknesses that we know.
Well, they
yet,
have the weakness of not being able to understand lying.
But now they do. That's the thing. It's like they understand that humans will say things that aren't necessarily true.
Yeah, but they don't know when they cannot identify a lie unless it is
because they cannot
evident.
Read our minds.
Right.
We could lie to them constantly now.
Right. The only thing I could think of to try to communicate effectively between people is to Darmok when the walls fell.
Yes.
Or whatever it is. I mean, the only
metaphor.
Yeah, metaphor and abstractions that one person could understand but doesn't say anything specific, speaking in code. That's the only way to get around this, as far as I can tell, is you have to communicate in the open, but in a way that the aliens cannot comprehend. So if we believe that the aliens do not have the psychological or contextual nuance to understand lying or deceit, that is still their weak point, then the only thing you can do is to talk in riddles that only the other person can decipher on the other side of it. That's it, as far as I can tell. Because unless you defeat the communication problem, you'll never have a chance against these guys.
And once again, remote viewing is pretty much the only way I could see them defeating this.
They haven't
No,
introduced
I like
supernatural
Scribe.
powers yet. Sorry?
I like the Scribe solution. I like your solution, the Braille device, the Braille device.
Yeah, the Braille thing.
I
like I
like
say,
the Braille
it's
device too.
yeah, the Braille thing was the only other thing I could come up with. That's something that because if the limitation is they can't read minds, then that helps a little bit. Let's see. The aliens have their SOFA on
So
computers.
have
We have
aliens-
psychohistory. Psychohistory. I don't know what that is.
I don't
That's
either.
From Foundation. It's basically a means of predicting how society will go.
Oh, well, except for
Okay.
alien assassin agent lady, unless they're going to do something else or we're going to jump way into the future in the next part or something, they haven't introduced supernatural or otherwise abilities in humans yet. So I'm assuming we're still having to work on the temporal plane when it comes to finding solutions to things.
Well, I actually am sort of believer in the ability for using ESP and telekinesis and remote viewing. I believe that there is something there because even Carl Jung talks about it, that everything is connected at a macroscopic and microscopic level, and that reading something, because I've had prophetic dreams that came true after I had the dream. And I mean, in a weird, horrifying way that freaked me out. And it's like, am I psychic? I don't believe for a second I am. But I believe that everybody can read. And energy is energy. And the transfer of energy is consistent. It's a thing. So psychohistory was Asimov's reinvention of statistical mechanics, but applied to human populations. I get you. Okay, I get you. We do have people who have successfully remote viewed and did it more than once in actual closed sessions to where they could not be cheating. There was no way to cheat. And one of those is Alexander Sitchin's. The stuff that he did, I'm still confounded by it. The other ones, these guys that are more what we call pop culture purveyors of telekinesis are usually just fraudsters, magicians. Anybody who's trying to make a buck off of it, you just assume they're bullshitting them. But there are those who have never sought to earn a dime off of this stuff or adulation, but have thrown themselves out there. And we do know that the CIA, as well as the KGB, were big users of this stuff. And it's when you start really reading some of the things that they were able to do, some of it seems far-fetched, but some of it's spot on. And I think that there's a greater potential of that than people developing a superpower. I don't believe in superpowers, mutations, but I do believe that people can learn to manipulate energies. And because they're there, the energy is there. It's all between us. And my one touch into that was that one prophetic dream I had, where within the period of 1 week, every single thing I dreamt happened. And that freaked me the fuck out. What's this? Not only would you have to talk in riddles, another person devised, well, this is the whole problem. Even with the idea of using Braille could eventually be broken. It's just another code.
Sure.
No, but the thing is,
code that can be broken.
Yeah, but it is not printed. The device that Scribe was talking about, you have needles that change position under your finger.
Right. Yeah, it's this little board of holes.
But
So
where's
you're just
it
looking
going?
at it. Well, so here's the thing. So it's, if you look at it, it's just a bar with a bunch of holes on it. And as information is being transmitted to this thing, the little bumps raise up on the bar, and the fingers of the person there feel the bumps and thus read it like Braille. But it's not a printed record or anything. So you'd have to have somebody on one end, and this is the one part that I'm not quite sure how you'd work. the person transmitting the information would have to do so in such a way that it can't be easily read, but the receiver could just have their fingers on a bar underneath a little cloak or something and just feeling the information and getting it.
And then you would code it into that one device, and then you would hand that over to somebody else to read later.
Well,
No.
no, you
So
see,
it's not really technology.
It can work like a telegraph.
Yeah, a telegraph that just doesn't have any written down words. The information could only be transmitted to that individual or individuals who can read Braille and are at the terminals, but you couldn't say it out loud. Like this is, like I said, it's a very.
When you get the terminals, it's still going to be information being transferred to the.
Well, but now can the sophons read information as it's being transferred electronically? They can affect.
I think that's what we've gotten from them, that they can do that.
Again, it's a little vague. So if that's the case, then maybe it's a non-starter. But
I picked that up from them, that they're capable of intercepting information.
Okay, yeah, if they can intercept digital communication or electronic communication in some way, then that's skunked. So really, the only way
unless
is to
you
talk
use paper, and basically you would write and you would create your own. It would look kind of like the music used by player pianos. You would create that, and they would look at it and not know exactly what that is. Just a bunch of series of dots.
But if they have a supercomputer. If they have a supercomputer, they could eventually analyze it, algorithm it into something. You'd have to have something like shorthand.
They would have to have a physical copy. That's the problem. They would have to steal a physical copy, and the physical copy should never be outside of anyone's hand other than directly involved with this. And if they were to do that, limit the number of people that would have contact with this thing, only the wall people, the 3 wall people, and their intermediaries, which would be 3. So it'd be 6 people.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, if they wrote in like shorthand, like a court reporter that isn't a common language or something, or I can just imagine this comedy scene where like they're trying to stay away from the aliens doing anything. It's like, hey, remember that guy that did that thing one time at the place where, like, with the bucket? Like, oh yeah, the bucket, yeah. So just do that. Okay, this is like the silliest kind of things you can think of to try to get around being specific. I just don't know. Anyway.
Well, absolutely. Even if it, like in the show, if it was something that they tried and didn't work, play it up and scare the shit out of the aliens that they have.
Yeah, but you have this problem. The remote viewer should be the wall facers. Because the moment the wall facer has to talk to the remote viewer, being a separate person from the wall facer, it has to talk or it has to write. You're fucked either way. So it only works if the wall facers are capable of remote viewing,
or have again some other way of communicating that is unique. Like you'd have to. Like if you got like 3 different Star Wars, like old school Star Wars fans in a room and they start talking in analogies, nobody's gonna be able to understand it.
Right.
There's nobody gonna be able to say, hey, remember Forlom and Zuckuss? Okay, remember what happened to them? Okay, just do that. Like what? Like nobody's like even normal people wouldn't understand what the hell they're talking about.
But you can also create confusion. It's it's something you do actively in football. And you create that same kind of confusion on the field by using multiple people who are said to be capable of remote viewing, and you send them out. It's the same thing they used like in Mission Impossible for that movie where, and I do know that law enforcement use that when they're transferring high value prisoners, that they'll send multiple vehicles out. And so you don't know which vehicle and convoy is theirs. And you do something similar to that with this, using these, and it is once again, it's a MacGuffin. Let's say a MacGuffin, meaning not real. It's there just to distract the enemy. But again, I think we're going to run into something if they get a season 2 out of this, and I'm imagining they will. Enough people are talking about this. It's got me believing that people are watching the show. That there may be 2 aliens, and if that's true in the book, again, I haven't read it. Then what is the first thing that Sun Tzu teaches you about two warring parties and a third party.
Yeah, the
And my
enemy of
enemy is
my
my
enemy is my
friend.
friend. Yeah.
You begin to play one side against the other, sort of the way
Yeah.
kids do with their divorced parents.
Yeah, I mean, if they can convince whatever the agreeable faction is, have a moralistic stance, but I guess it comes down to, well, the fleet's already on the way, so unless they're going to try to remotely cause a mutiny on the invasion fleet, which I guess that might be a way to do it. The threat is already on its way, so I don't know.
I am curious where they're going to go with this kid's brain that got shot.
Oh yeah, he's going to come back. He's going to come back, or it's going to
Yeah.
come back, Mr. Brain.
I don't know too much. I just know basically book stuff. So
You and your book learning, you elitist, you.
Oh man, the solution is so simple.
Oh, did you read ahead or something?
Yeah, the solution is so simple.
Oh man.
I can tell you after the show.
Don't do that again, Martin. Don't do that again.
Well,
you did it
the
to us on
solution's
what
so
was
simple.
it from? Was that the show? No,
No,
1899. You were ahead of us, and all the time you listened to us speculate, and we're like, "You are so wrong." Don't do that again, please.
He'll eventually spoil 2 as well.
I never spoil anything.
Oh,
I kind of wish there was somebody that knew
stupid.
the book. Here.
I doubt I'm going to watch season 2 after how much I didn't like season 1, so I'm fine being spoiled later if you want to. I don't.
Yeah,
I get it.
Well, I will tell you that despite having problems with the season, I still there are certain things about it I do like, and it's characters. If I like characters, I'll come back. And I love Liam Cunningham. I fucking love him as Thomas Wade. That dude is fucking awesome. He's all about war.
That's the best
that's a
character.
man bringing a war. What's that?
That's the best character of all.
Oh, him and Benedict Wong that plays clearly a former cop. Those are my two favorite characters in the show. They're the only two that make any fucking sense. You get these fucking scientists that are just fucking hemming and hawing about, oh, I don't want to be Oppenheimer. Fuck off.
Well, those two characters, they're the most cynical, they're the most pragmatic, and the benefit to the show is
I get. That's
and the benefit to the show is that both of those actors can elevate otherwise kind of flimsy material and make it come across and shape it into something worth watching. But they're just fun to watch because they're so into it and they're such pros. But I think that is entirely to their credit of their acting ability and their delivery more than it is the writing itself. But I might be a bit too cynical.
No, I don't know. I think they are written masterfully. I fucking love Liam Cunningham's character.
Yeah. By the way, Lee, you should listen to Dawn Ecker's show that I'm guest host on Monday nights over on KGRA Radio. It's we talk about ufology, we talk about cryptids, and we talk about heightened paranormal, because I've done my research my whole life on Carl Jung. And Carl Jung, of course, is the father of modern parapsychology. And basically, when I had my prophetic dream, I woke up from that dream. Seriously, it was like, oh my God, I don't want to go back to sleep. I don't want to redream whatever the fuck that was all about. And then over the next week, these things began happening. And what it is, and this is how I think this is how even remote viewing works. According to Jung, that a butterfly will flap its wings on the other side of the planet, and it will cause ripples on the other side that you can pick up. And the more sensitive to these things that you are, to reading things, the more better is my brother say, more better you are at reading it. So basically, I believe that telekinesis is as well as ESP both play on the same thing of reading energy and interacting with energy. One reads the energy, the other one interacts with it. And there's energy between you and everything around you. And the most horrifying thing that I learned as a kid, I was 12, when I learned that human tissue isn't cohesive, that we are made of molecules that aren't even fucking touching. The smaller you
Everything's made of that. That's
and
the
how
creepy
we're
part.
held together is horrifying to me. It still scares me a little bit.
What the hell?
How everything in the world that we look at
Jesus.
is held together. What are you guys talking about?
Don't know about your comment. So, that scares you. That amazes me. That fills me with joy.
It doesn't me, because at any moment our world can just suddenly decide to stop working, and we could just fall apart. And just that scared the shit out of me.
No, that doesn't work like that.
That it would take like a complete rewriting of reality for that to happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
And I believe that there are those capable of doing that. So you guys can sit there in your fantasy world. I sit in the world where that's just fucking scary.
Oh, the
You're
lack of
talking
self-awareness.
about spontaneous human combustion being like caused by will and going, I'm the one in a fantasy.
Yeah.
Where is this going, guys?
That is rich.
I don't know what that was about. You can mock me all you want to.
And we do.
But I do.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
care
For you.
whether anybody fucking believes what I'm saying. That's terrifying to me as a kid, thinking that reality could turn on its head and fucking everything would just fall apart. I mean, that's what happens in the events of a supernova. Everything, a black hole pulls you apart.
Well,
Molecule
you give
by
me
molecule.
3 stiff drinks and my reality falls apart. So I mean, I already know that happens.
Only 3?
So
I'm a lightweight. I am a total lightweight.
Oh,
I'm a cheap date. What can I tell you?
yeah.
You don't have to worry because this society seem to be very good at ignoring reality currently. So we just keep going along that way. Maybe we'll ignore physics as well.
Oh.
Boss,
do you have
this comment?
Yeah, do you have a rim shot for that one?
Yeah.
for what?
This show
the
really
comment
took a
from Eagley.
long turn.
Yeah, it took a long turn.
Uh,
A Benedict
I agree
Wong
with Radioactive,
turn.
though.
Yeah.
It's way better than the other crap we get on TV right now. So, and that
Oh
answers
my
Zach's
God.
question to me. Yeah, I had a good time watching it. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of the show, but I had fun watching it.
I'm spoiled right now because a friend of mine had never seen Breaking Bad, and so I watched Breaking Bad over the course of a few weeks with her, and she was just bowled over. And I was reminded, as I have been between Breaking Bad, Deadwood, The Shield, some TV is just excellent, and then I watch something on Netflix. I'm like, I'm spoiled by some epic stuff, and it just really shows the trajectory or the dejectory, I guess, the descent of quality programming over the last 10 years or so, and it's really kind of a downer. I don't know.
Well, the
Benioff and Weiss were not the guys to adapt this. Let me just put it that way.
They weren't science fiction guys. This should have been a science fiction.
Yeah,
team.
given their performance on, they adapted Game of Thrones fine up through the point where they ran out of blueprints from R.R. Martin, and then it was proven that they couldn't carry the narrative or the show even with his help on the side on
They
their
had
own.
no idea what to do.
They had no idea what to do, and then they're handed this, which again you'd think, okay, well they're good at adapting things, but unfortunately the material itself and the complexity that I can tell. I mean, even though I haven't read the books, I can tell these books must have been absolute bricks of detail and nuance and character and this, that, and the other. Is that it's material they, like you say, they don't understand. They're not sci-fi guys. I'm not even sure that they're high fantasy guys to be, or even low fantasy guys.
If I remember right, the writer is either a scientist or like a researcher. I'm trying to remember.
Right.
No, he's a computer engineer.
Yeah. This should have been handed to somebody like maybe Christopher Nolan or someone who has a better understanding of that kind of thinking and thinks in those kind of terms. or someone that's just really good at being able to simplify and
Really
get to the
good
core of the story.
No, I think you're onto something with that first statement, which is capable of understanding complex thought.
Right. Yeah,
which is
And
not Dan
because-
and Dave.
Yeah,
Ever.
like in my job, I deal with technical people all the time about stuff, and I'm not a technical person. I couldn't code my way out of a paper bag, but thankfully, I can envision where the destination of a thing is, and then figure out what the steps would need to be to get there. And if you describe that to a technical person who is very focused, sometimes you'll say things that they never thought of, but they know that they can do. And you work as a team and make it happen. So if you found somebody who understands complex thought and complex ideas, and you put them in front of the writer or the material, and you say, okay, let's hash this out to the point where we can have a digestible narrative that gets across all the points, still brings across the high level ideas you're trying to get there without all the technical minutia, and still make a compelling story. And Benioff and Weiss, I mean, maybe they have talents elsewise. In this instance, they didn't pull it off effectively, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. No,
normally, I feel they do a good job with the human drama, but even here, I felt like they kind of failed there because too many characters are just fucking annoying, and you shouldn't have annoying characters. You should have frustrating characters, but annoying you shouldn't. I think that's a sign of bad writing.
Or characters that don't propel the narrative forward. Like Wilbur was an absolute speed bump. I know I keep coming back to him, but they spent so much time when he serves only one purpose in the entire story, and that is to die and become a brain. Also, do you remember how out of the blue, and I realized maybe the book had this more, remember how out of the blue all of a sudden stasis pods were just suddenly invented off camera? And there was no preamble to that or whatever. This guy's like, hey, look at this monkey I've frozen for the last 3 months. You know, it's like, what?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what the hell? It was like such a Brady Bunch, suddenly, left field kind of solution to a problem that they hadn't even stated yet. Like, what?
Yeah, they also, my other problem is you create a character like John Bradley and to just kill him for no real reason. They just killed him off. It was just weird. It was like it served no real purpose.
Yeah, it was a spiteful thing. Yeah.
What? Okay, I know. This is not told in the show, so it's only my very own headcanon. But I think the aliens didn't take that decision. That it was.
You think the humans did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only for that, for what you have said, spite. How dare you reject us?
Yeah. All right, so that was a cult action, not an alien decree.
That would, then it kind of works, but we should have seen that.
Right, we should have had some indication of that. Like if Jonathan Pryce's character had, like, after he was dead, like, gotten a message from the assassin saying it is done, then okay, maybe something like that.
Something, or even a scene before it happens, going, well, you know what to do.
Or if it was something like, we saw the cult observing the VR experiences. So if they came back and said, all the candidates are doing well so far, but that Bradley is a problem. He's causing too many problems, or he's not useful to this, and we need to put a lid on him. Something like that, maybe.
He's starting to talk to others about this. We want this to be in this small group of people.
Yeah, but again, that goes against the whole idea that these guys are supposed to eventually become emissaries for the aliens and arguing on their behalf, that this is why they have to come here because they don't have any other place to go.
One of my favorite writers of abnormal horror science fiction is Reece Shearsmith from Britain. He was part of the writing team of him and Steve Pimpert. They did the series number 9, and before that, the League of Gentlemen. They just write these really bizarre stories that I just enjoy the crap out of. He is one of the people that dies. He gets cut in half. He gets cut in half up on when the everything gets frozen or some shit, and they've got the soldiers down there, rows and rows of soldiers with flags, white on one side, black on the other. Remember that scene? And you guys hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the scene where they're doing turning the flags different directions?
Yes.
It's like a
Yes.
giant computer.
The human computer. Yes.
Yeah. And the guy upstairs that's the proud creator of this thing, that's Reece Shearsmith. He's nowhere in the credits, and I thought that was really odd that he's not in the credits. And he's one of my favorite actor writers going. And that was one of my favorite scenes in the entire series, by the way. That was fucking
not
cool.
to nitpick, Martin, but it's not a human computer. It's a Santi computer. That's aliens that we see do that. It's not humans.
Oh, well, I mean,
that's made to look like humans. Yeah.
People. Well, there are NPCs beginning to begin with because it's in the game, but I mean, it's people that are. Oh my! It's a virtual machine composed by people. The concept was awesome.
I know. I mean, and the only thing we know about the aliens is that obviously, they don't look like humans. Because she says, you wouldn't like how we really look like. We don't
it just immediately
biology or anything. So
I think Cthulhuist kind of stuff.
Yes,
you know?
something like that.
Like
I have one thought about that computer game lady and her killing that the dude who was in Game of Thrones. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Is it maybe just her going rogue? Whether she's real or an AI, because he rejects the game and that upsets her to the point that she kills him.
She seemed way too fanatical to go to get her own agency. Like she went where
Which
she was
the one who killed him? Was that Tatiana or was that Sofan?
Tatiana.
Tatiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because then at the end of the episode or final episode, she gets one of those headgears.
Right.
Invited to the game.
Yeah, but she definitely has superpowers because she's not showing up on any CCTV.
Well, that's the Sophons
technology.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the Sophons are covering for her as she's doing stuff. So that's why I think that she couldn't have gone rogue there because they wouldn't have like backed her up or something if she was going off script. So I think she's too much of a zealot not to take direction directly from either the cult or now conceivably the aliens through the headset or whatever.
What if they don't care about her doing that because it's just a human?
Yeah, that's a possibility.
That's the other thing too. Is like I said earlier, is that there's so far, save for that one thing where that pacifist scientist or something said, "Don't send another message." Aside from that, there's been almost nothing from the aliens that has told us that ultimately the humans are vital to their plans.
No, they're coming either way. It's just going to be easier.
They're going to show up. And so on the one hand, they're trying to stunt human evolution, or at least technological evolution, as they not cause a problem. But on the other hand, they keep like talking to these guys and trying to make them emissaries for humans. Yeah, like I say, the only thing that makes any sense is there was some kind of weird factional war taking place in the background that we, as the audience, know.
I don't know if you noticed.
They're an entire species, so there's the aliens. Of course, there's some that go it's like, no, we shouldn't actually wipe them all out.
No, they don't come. They are not going to wipe anybody out. They want to become the gods of humanity.
Yeah. I mean, if there is some motivation for the aliens to want humans to still be here by the time that they arrive in any functional way, I never really understood what that purpose was going to be. If they just want subservient, if they just want like if they want a slave class, if that's the thing, if they want to show up and have a slave class, and that's why they want to stunt their technological development so they can.
Yes, remember they said we want to stop your science and then make you forget about it, and when you don't have science, we will give you miracles.
I mean, they call themselves the Lord, so what's going on with that?
They want to create a religion
going on here. There's something else going on here, which is, I don't know what's going to happen in the writing for season 2, if there's a season 2, but clearly there's more than one faction going on here. The beginning of the conversation, the very first conversation was, "You're lucky I'm the one who heard you," because they would destroy you, you know. And but look, I'm curious where it's going. I don't think I'm going to put a whole lot of effort into it. This is more or less like the second season. First season of this show is like the second season of From for me, and very disappointing in some ways, very good in others.
Too mystery box. Too much mystery box.
We have two more
much
seasons
focused on it.
guaranteed, guys.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no,
two
yeah.
more
They're
seasons
slotted for
guaranteed,
2 more.
and 3. Yeah.
We need to have someone that knows how to write fucking science fiction working on this. So that's my general feeling on that.
Gary, we
Mhm.
have a question that
I know that. I was trying to get to it.
We need to bring you for Wednesday.
That's why I kept trying to wrap up real quick so I get some of these questions. No, I will not doing them on my channel here, but I am a co-host on KGRA's, which is like the #1 radio station out there for ufology and cryptozoology and the paranormal. I do a show with none other than Don Ecker himself, the silverback gorilla of ufology.
Yeah.
Yes, and I love the way they call him that, you know, because inevitably it's going to slip out of his mouth. Those sons of bitches, he'll say. He is just a good friend of mine and somebody I love doing the show with. I'm so proud that he has me a part of that show. We do talk about ufology. We talk about the paranormal. We do talk about cryptids. We talk about ESP. He has somebody he had on, and I felt that she had faked information about me. I'm not going to say who it is. And it took me 3 minutes to log out of Facebook and go on there under a different account and find the information about me that she brought out. A cursory reading of and she friended me on Facebook. So I'm like, that bugged me. I won't say her name because I'm not saying she's a phony. I'm just saying that what she did with me wasn't real, and it bugged me. Yeah, in fact, you know, I got angry about it because it offended me that was done. I don't like that. So anyway,
wait.
it's on KGRA Radio Mondays at 6 p.m. Central Time. That's 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon for California because fuck, they're in their own world out there. So we do a UFO paranormal show.
You should also add them not on YouTube anymore. That's KGRA DB. Either you look up for their homepage.
DB.
Listen there, or you go on Rumble.
And remember, never forget, we still have some episodes of that nature in our channel.
Yeah, we still have some of the old shows. You can go back and listen to some of Don and I have talked about. But I will tell you that it's fairly easy. Just go on Rumble and look for Don Ecker, Dark Matters Radio, and you'll find us. I think season 2 is greenlit. I think all 3 seasons are
2
totally
and
lit.
3. Yeah, I put that in
so
too.
let's see. What is this? A human computer thing was dumb. I'm not saying it was smart. I was saying that it was a cool scene.
It looked cool.
No, the concept of the human computer doesn't make any sense. Like, what's driving it? It just makes no sense. Like, it just was. I mean, when you think about it logistically, it made no sense, but it was fun to look at, and it led to one of the coolest effects moments on the show.
Well, the thing is, they cannot build another type of computer in the game. They have to use the resources that they have, and the resources are the NPCs.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Zax. Women are just way too hot. Come on. Nerds, come on.
Have you seen that astrophysics girl that is, oh my god, she should be an actress.
1 in a million.
But there are.
I totally got the look of the woman in the quote unquote computer game though, because they were obviously looking at RPGs and the characters in there.
True, D. Bud Martin. Totally true. You're out in your own
the
world
wrench
out there
is in California. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Hardest working wrench in all the communities right there, D. Bud Martin. Deeply appreciate when he stops by. He helps every one of the major shows, and just he's out there picking up the slack, man. Picking up the slack. Let's see. Anything else I want to read here? That's it. I think we can wrap up here. It was a good show. I enjoyed talking about this stuff. Well, we had a good audience today. Got up there, well, as high as 46 now, and hope
I think we
everybody
had
enjoyed
50
that.
at one point. I think we were past 50.
So we'll see. I'll be watching the numbers later. I always watch our numbers because I don't expect them to be super high, but I expect them to be good and consistently good. When it's not consistent, I actually don't think it's us. I think it's YouTube messing with us.
Well, with Friday, we're still experimenting on what shows to do to get viewers, because we've done a couple of shows about TV shows that apparently not many people are watching or watching anymore. That's always playing into it. Same with the movies. I mean, we do Rocky.
Well, we're going to be
stuff like
talking
that,
about current.
Of course, people are watching it.
We're going to be talking about current shows right now. This week we talked about this series, and next week we begin talking about
House
2
of the
episodes.
Dragon.
House of the Dragons. Each episode we do will be 2 episodes of the show, and we'll go
Every other
into it
week.
and see how good this show is. I'm hoping that it's
I
as
hope
good as the
it
first
stays
season
good.
was.
I hope it
Yes, I'm
stays
looking.
good. I went into
Uh,
it with zero expectations after the way Game of Thrones ended, and it was good, and I was happy to be back in that world. So I'd hate for them to ruin it again.
Monday is Dirty Dozen. We will do that at 10 o'clock Central Time in the morning. And then Wednesday, we're going to be doing another Donald Sutherland classic, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It is one of my favorite sci-fi horror films.
I'll try to
all
make
time.
that one. I love Body Snatchers. All the whole
I
the
like
whole
the
series,
original
even
and
the bad
the
ones.
You
Yeah,
can see it from
yeah.
me, Scribe Light. I don't
I
do
got to tell you,
horror.
the odd one was just simply called Body
Body
Snatchers.
Snatchers. Yeah, the 93
And
Body Snatchers. Yeah.
93. Oh my God, when she delivers a line to them, because she's already taken over the mother, she goes, "Where you going to go? Who you going to go to?" And it's like, that creeped me the fuck out. Like, holy shit. She's like, you don't know who's one of us. You know, who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to tell? It's like, my God, that was a creepy scene. I love that was a remake, kind of.
Yeah.
I thought it was reasonably well done. I didn't watch the remake with Nicole Kidman and
No, that one was pretty weak. That was pretty weak.
I saw the trailer and I listened to the first reviews coming down. I went, it doesn't sound like my kind of film. I like my sci-fi a little smarter than this.
The Daniel Craig one, he was in that one too, right?
Yeah, Daniel Craig and Nicole Kidman back before he was Bond.
Yeah, somebody said something about this the other day, D, but thank you. I appreciate it, man. That's deeply appreciated. Okay, everybody in this community, you can't die for at least 5 years, man. We've lost too many people. Everybody
That's true.
in our community needs to stay alive for at least 5 years, man. This is bullshit.
You don't tell me what to do.
It's like, I'll
Will and
die
Miss
when I
Things.
want to, damn it.
Arlie Ermy was the 90s version of the Body Snatcher.
Yeah, he
Martine,
was.
everybody
on
knows
the
you on AI anyway.
Army base, yeah.
So next Monday, of course, is tomorrow we're supposed to be doing Beverly Hills Cop 2. But I keep watching my messenger from Tom because he kept warning me that something might be coming up. And so far, nothing. So hopefully it's going to go off without a hitch.
Maybe he's just playing hard to get. I'm coming on your show, or am I?
I'll be there, or maybe I won't. But it's Tom's my show, and I'm not going to do the show if he's not going to be there, because one of the reasons I want to do these films with him is because of his vast knowledge of the Beverly Hills Cop franchise. Just incredible knowledge. And so if he's not going to be there, I'm not sure what's going to happen. We may have to preempt, not do the show. I'm sorry, I have to go now. So do we. We're out of here too, Lee. So don't be apologetic. We're going too. We're going right with you. And I'm going to wrap up the show with our little outro. And I want to play this one more time. Hey guys, don't forget to click that like, subscribe, and notification button. We appreciate you watching the show. Now, back to it. Yeah, there you go. That's like
And one
watching
more thing
myself.
for
is really
Lee,
weird.
Gary. Lee, I think it's awesome to have you, and you always ask questions, and they're good questions. So thank you for that.
Yeah, very much so. unlike the stupid questions of everybody else. Like, I don't know what that meant.
Shut the fuck up, Gary.
No.
Shut up and end the show.
What did that
Wow.
Did I ever tell you I hate you?
I'm sorry, guys. I can't help but try to twist things into something funny. Anyway, I thank everybody for being here. Scribe Life, thanks for being here, buddy. Deeply appreciate it. You really enhance this conversation.
No problem.
Shanatsky, thank you.
Shanatsky, thanks for dropping in. And Martin, as usual, thank you for being the left side of my brain. Anima Confusa, thanks for being quiet for 70% of the show.
I'm tired. Shut up.
It's like I kept wondering,
What
like,
time is it?
I know when Keith is unconscious
It's
because
past
you can
fucking
hear
midnight.
you can hear him snore. But if
Yeah.
Anima fell asleep during the show, I'd have no idea. She sleeps so quietly.
I
Well, she's
never
she's a
fell
pr-
asleep
she's a
during
proper woman, seen and not heard.
Seen and not heard. Oh my god!
I know. Patriarchy. Sorry.
They'll yell misogyny. I'll go, no, misogyny
Oh.
requires hatred. That's sexism.
And he's gone.
Oh, oh no!
And he's back.
I know.
Anyway,
Oh,
we're
it's
out of here,
here.
guys. Everybody have a great Friday. I'm not going to do what I lie to you this week. I'm just we're done. I'm done. Stick a fork in me and say hi, because I like
Nobody
having forks
wants that.
stuck in me.
Ew.
So
So stab you with a fork when I see you. Got it.
yeah, exactly. And look, and this one's for you personally, Shanatsky.
I'm going to say two words to you right now. I want you to listen to them very, very carefully. We find most people can remember them. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here they are.
Stop it!